Now watch this. You've got to hear the next thing he says. He says God is taking on, he said it's the pleasures and the delight. And listen to what he says. False glamour and deceitfulness of riches. He said what's happening is people start searching so hard after money because money has an answer to their dilemmas until they don't search after God. In other words, they search after God's hand to provide for them, but they don't search after God's face. Sometimes you have to walk into the presence of God and you just have to say, I've got a lot of needs. I need this, I need that, I need electric bill, I need this, but my greatest need is for you. I need you to fix certain relationships. I need you to open up certain doors. And I'm desperate for some of these things because they have timelines on them and they have deadlines and due dates. But even though all of that is true, my greatest need is for you. I need you to touch me. I need you to deal with me. I don't want to just seek your hand. I want to seek your... Somebody lift your hand and say, Lord, show me your face. Show me your face. Show me your face. But hear this last part. He said, in the passionate desire for other things. Everybody say other things. What does it do? It creeps in. Everyone say creep in. Now, I want you to make note of this. He doesn't say just simply comes and walks in. It slowly makes its way in. That if you're not careful, you have such strong desires for everything else but God. If you're not careful, you're finding yourself desiring a job more than you desire God. You're finding yourself desiring an answer to prayers more than you're desiring the one who answers the prayers. And he said, this thing will creep in and it will choke out the word. You've got to hear the language. Everyone say choke, say suffocate. This is violence. You can't choke a rock. Choke and suffocate implies that the thing had to be breathing and alive. So literally what he's trying to say to you is you don't even understand what you're doing, but you're committing an act of murder because you're killing that which is alive, which is the Word. Because the Word is God. And you're actually choking God out of your system by these things. And that's why he says to you, you've got to fight to focus. You've got to fight to focus. You've got to choose what it is that you want. Come back now and let's begin to correlate this with the story as it is in 2 Samuel chapter 3. 2 Samuel chapter 3. There is a powerful thing that is happening here. In fact, it is a very historical event. What has led up to this historical event is that there are two kingdoms that are clashing. The kingdom of Saul and the kingdom of David. It is Saul's son that is in control. And his general is a great man by the name of Abner. David has a general, and his man is Joab. These two houses have been fighting, but the Bible says that the house of David grew greater and greater. But one day in conversation between Abner and the son of Saul, he said something to Abner that Abner did not like. He felt his integrity was challenged. He then makes the declaration that I am going to David. He sends word to David and says this, I can unite the kingdom under you. Abner is such a man of influence that Joab knows it's true. So Abner and Joab, or Abner and David, have a meeting. David says, go on your way and unite the kingdom under me. When Abner begins to go, Joab returns from being out on a mission. And he comes back and he hears that Abner had been there. What he does is send a messenger after Abner and tells him, return, come back. Let me talk with you. Now I want you to see this in 2 Samuel chapter 3 so that you understand the relevance to you. Verse 26. 2 Samuel chapter 3 verse 26. And when Joab was come out from David, he sent messengers after Abner, which brought him again from the well of Sirah, but David knew it not. And when Abner was returned to Hebron, listen to this, Joab took him aside in the gate to speak with him quietly, and smote him there under the 5th rib, that he died for the blood of Asael, his brother. Abner was about ready to make history. He was about ready to unite the kingdom under the rule of David. He was about ready to bring Israel into its proper alignment in the plan of God. Instead, Abner listened to a messenger of Joab and turned around from divine destiny and moved to listen to this messenger and went and embraced Joab. Joab stabs him right in the heart. And listen to now what David says. This is now you understand David's words in verse 33. And the king lamented over Abner and said, died Abner as a fool dieth. In other words, Abner was a general. He knew he had killed Joab's brother, and he knew the rules of warfare, that it was all about revenge. How could you be so foolish to turn around and go back to Joab thinking that he would not try to kill you? How could you go back and embrace this man thinking that he would not stab you and try to take you out? That's why if you listen to David in verse 34, your hands were not bound. There were no chains on your feet. What made you do this? We could have respected you if you had gone down swinging. We could have respected you if you had fought Joab in battle and lost. But instead, you willingly did not even have sword or shield. You willingly simply embraced Joab and believed that it's going to be all right. He was not focused on the understandings of warfare, even though he was a general. And that's why God is saying to this house that there are things that are calling you. There are messengers of the enemy that are calling you to turn back from the heir of the kingdom. You are now on the road to the unification of the plan of God into your life and bringing all things underneath the power of Jesus Christ. But there are messengers of Joab that are calling out to you. There's messengers of depression that are calling you back and declaring, come on back into my arms and let us talk. And you, like a fool, are turning around and going to hug depression. Here is God's question to you. Have you not won battles over depression? Have you not helped others get out from depression? Do you not understand that depression wants revenge against you? Don't you get the understandings of warfare? Why are you turning back around and embracing depression and not expecting it to stab your heart? And why are you dying like a fool? So this was what David was so lamenting over. He was lamenting over the fact that this great man, this man of warfare, this man that had led the house of Saul, that ruled over men, that understood the rules of combat, could just fall like a pauper, that could just fall without any resistance, without any fight. There's some of you, self-pity has been calling you, and you are turning back around from the mission of the kingdom, and you are walking right back into the arms of self-pity, and you are embracing self-pity, and you're not expecting that thing to stab you, and you're not expecting that thing to kill you. But don't you understand, if you leave the work of the kingdom and go back and embrace these things, it is not interested in giving giving you another chance. It is not interested in you being released again to try to go work for the kingdom. It wants to take you out now. It wants you never to be able to lift your hand again to God. That's why God said, don't you die like a fool. Don't you die like a fool. Don't you listen to the messengers of Joab. Don't you go back and embrace what God has brought you out of. It's time to stay out. Jesus set us free. Now let's stay free. The Bible said, stand fast in the liberty wherein Christ has made you free, and be not entangled again in the yoke of bondage. So understand this, my friend, because there's a lot of distractions. There's a lot of messengers of Joab, and what we really were reading in Mark chapter 4, they are messengers of Joab. It is that Satan is calling you, saying, listen, you can get back to that in just a moment, but come over here. I want to just converse with you over a few things. And you sit down and intellectually start trying to figure things out, and what happens is the devil ends up stabbing you right in your heart, because you end up disappointed, because everything you're trying to intellectually figure out has nothing but a bad ending to it, and you have no choice but to become disappointed. But God said, hold on, why did you go back to the beggarly elements of the world? How come you dropped your spiritual weapons? Hold on, you've won so many battles. How come you're dying like this? If you're going to die, at least go out fighting. At least go out swinging, honey. Don't you die like that. At least go out with a fight. Tell the devil, if you want to fight, you got one. I will not just lay down like that. You got the wrong individual. If you expect me just to go and embrace that which wants to kill me, you got another thing coming. I will grab hold of the sword of the Spirit. I will grab hold of the songs of Zion. I will grab hold of prayer and fasting, and I will fight to the bitter end.